All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about APIs. You know, the engines that are running pretty much every single app you use day in and day out. But here's the thing. What happens when those very engines become a company's biggest, most dangerous security blind spot? We're going to explore why protecting them has become one of the most critical challenges in cybersecurity right now.
So let me just start by asking a really direct question, especially for anyone out there running a digital business. Are you really aware of all your application's APIs? And maybe more to the point, do you have any idea if they're actually secure? Believe me, it's a question that is keeping a whole lot of security pros up at night. And here's exactly why that question is so urgent. You've got this direct, unavoidable link. The more we lean on APIs to power our services, the bigger a target they become for attackers. It's a really simple equation, right? More APIs just means more potential doors for criminals to try and kick open.
Okay, so let's get into the first big problem here, what we call the growing API blind spot. Now, this is the gap between the APIs you think you have and all the ones that are actually running out there. We're talking about shadow APIs, those endpoints that a developer spun up for a quick test, but then they were never officially documented or secured. They are literally the hidden backdoors that nobody is watching.
And what are these criminals after? Well, the crown jewels, of course, your most sensitive data. See, cybercriminals are now systematically targeting APIs as their #1 way to get inside applications and just pull out incredibly valuable information. Everything from user logins to financial records.
So, how are they actually doing it? How are they breaking in? Well, a couple of common methods are API injections, where they cleverly hide malicious commands inside what looks like a totally legitimate request. And then there's authentication bypass, which is kind of like finding an unlocked service entrance, letting them just stroll right past your main security.
And this brings us to a really crucial point. The old ways of doing security, they just aren't cutting it anymore. Seriously, the tools that protected us yesterday are completely struggling to keep up with how sophisticated and how fast today's threats really are. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. We're seeing the rise of something called a business logic attack. This isn't your typical brute force smash the door down kind of attack. It is subtle. The attacker uses your API exactly as it was designed to be used, but they twist the logic of your own application to make it do something it should never do. And the whole time, they look just like a perfectly normal user.
And this just perfectly illustrates the huge shift we're seeing. I mean, we've gone from these basic predictable attacks to a world where attackers are using AI-powered tools to meticulously map out your app's unique business logic. They literally turn your own legitimate traffic into a weapon against you, which makes these attacks incredibly difficult to spot.
This really just says it all, doesn't it? The attackers are faster, they're smarter, and they are way more evasive than ever before. Trying to fight them with old-school signature-based defenses, well, it's like trying to catch a fighter jet with a butterfly net. It's just not going to work.
So if the old blueprint is totally broken, what does the new one look like? We need a completely different approach, one that's built from the ground up for the reality of today's application architectures.
And this new blueprint, it really stands on 3 essential pillars. First, you need complete visibility, because, let's be honest, you can't protect an API if you don't even know it exists. Second, you need intelligent automation, since there's no way a human team can manually keep track of thousands of constantly changing endpoints. And third, you have to have real-time mitigation, the power to instantly shut down an attack while it's happening, not after the damage has already been done.
A modern solution has got to provide end-to-end coverage against the entire spectrum of threats. We're talking about protecting against all of the OWASP Top 10, which is the globally recognized list of the most critical API security risks. This isn't about just patching a few holes. It's about building a comprehensive shield that covers every single known vulnerability.
So what does this new approach actually look like in practice? Let's break down how a modern system actually builds this much more effective, much more automated defense.
It's all about a continuous, automated 3-step cycle. First, it discovers and maps every single API endpoint. No more blind spots. Then, its AI engine gets to work, continuously learning your application's unique business logic from live traffic. It figures out what's normal for your specific app. And finally, based on that deep understanding, it automatically generates and updates protection rules in real time to block threats before they can cause any damage. And it does all this without slowing down your legitimate users one bit.
So, the outcome of this whole process? It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You are finally back in control.
You get full visibility and posture management across the entire API security spectrum, from discovery all the way through the protection.
So now, let's zoom out for a second and look at the full protection picture. What does it actually mean for a business to have this level of modern, automated API protection in place?
Well, the benefits are pretty transformative. You get to move from being reactive to being proactive. So instead of just blocking attacks we already know about, the system learns your specific business logic so it can spot weird behavior that no one else would see. And by plugging into global threat intelligence, it can even predict and neutralize attacks before they ever hit your servers.
And really, the most crucial point is this. Strong API security isn't just a defensive move anymore. It's actually a business enabler. It gives you the peace of mind you need to innovate, to build new features, and to focus on what actually matters, growing your business.
So we'll just end with this thought. Your business, like almost every modern business on the planet, runs on APIs. They are your connection to the world, to your customers, and to your partners. The only question you have to ask yourself is this. Is the security that's protecting them built for the threats of the past, or is it truly ready